In this video, we are going to rank all the TCG sets from Sword and Shield base set all the way to Crown Zenith. Okay, so you see this tier list, it has fantastic grade all the way until bad and poop. So we have all the sets in this tier list except for Crown Zenith, so I'll manually put it when I'm editing the video. So let's start off with Sword and Shield. So Sword and Shield gave us Zacian and Zamazenta Vs, and that greatly improved the gameplay for ADP, Arceus Dialga and Palkia GX, but I think that alone pushes it to great, right? Because ADP was a strong deck, but the introduction of Zacian and Zamazenta immediately pushed it up to tier 1, or even probably the best deck in format then. So that is what I'm going to rank these PTCG sets on. Not on hindsight, because there's always a power creep when it comes to the base set all the way to Crown Zenith. So of course Lugia V-Star is going to destroy the Zacian and Zamazenta deck, right? So I'm not going to put it on hindsight. I'm going to rank it on based on how much impact it had when it got released, right? Okay, so other than Zacian and Zamazenta V, we have a lot of playable cards like Air Balloon, Ordinary Rod, and there was the return of Quick Ball, which is still played all the way until the end of the Sword and Shield era. And what else was there? Money. We were introduced to Money, which is such a great card. So Money is even played now to disrupt the hand, and many people are going to miss the hand disruption that Money brought. Okay, then of course our favorite engine, the Sobble, Drizzle, and Inteleon line. We didn't have the Rapid Strike Sobble, but the 70 HP Sobble was also very good. Then Drizzle and Inteleon, what else can we say about it, right? It's the best engine in the Sword and Shield era. So for that reason and all the other playable cards, I think Sword and Shield deserves a spot in the great tier. Next up, we have Rebel Clash, or some people know it as Rebel Trash. So because it's not good, right? I think in terms of playability, definitely there are some good cards out there like Speed Energy, Capture Energy. What else was there? Training Court is there. It started from Rebel Clash as well. Scoop Up Net was good. Scoop Up Net is still being played because of Lost Box, and I think it's between bad and poop, because I will put it as bad because it redeemed itself a little bit towards the later sets, because the cards were playable only after Lost Origin, because we won the Speed Energy and Astro Radiance, because Regis were there and Speed Energy was really useful. Yep, so other than that, what else was there? Let me see. Malama VMAX didn't see a lot of gameplay. We had the Galarian Weezing with the ability lock. So in terms of playability, I think the playability of certain Rebel Clash cards kind of helped it redeem from poop to bad. So yep, bad it is. Next up, we have Darkness Ablaze. So I think it's a toss-up between Rebel Clash and Darkness Ablaze as to which is the worst set of Sword and Shield. And I think Darkness Ablaze is probably the worst set in the Sword and Shield series. I know some people would say Rebel Clash, but Darkness Ablaze is poop. Okay, so other than, I think Charizard was the only saving grace for Darkness Ablaze. So people will be like, how can you put a set with Charizard as poop? Because if you take away Charizard, V and VMAX, this set is trash. More trash than Rebel Trash. So yeah, Charizard VMAX was the only saving grace. There's of course Vikavolt V, which saw some gameplay towards the end of the Sword and Shield era. And other than that, I'm going through the list right now. There's Powerful Energy, which only became really useful when Lugia Vista came out. So for the whole of Sword and Shield series, not many cards from Darkness Ablaze was being played. So for that reason, sorry Darkness Ablaze fans, I'll rank it the worst set of the Sword and Shield series. Next up, we have Champion's Path, which if it was a main set, it would have been the worst set. But because it's a holiday set, I kind of gave it a little bit of leeway. It gave us Gardevoir VMAX, which wasn't really that useful. They reprinted Mani, which is nice. And then there's Rotom Phone, the reprint of the Charizard, and the Rainbow Charizard VMAX, which is nice. And of course the promo Charizard, which came in every ETB, kind of saved it. But yeah, Champion's Path is bad. What else was there? A lot of it is, yeah, not very, because it's a small set. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt, so it's between poop and bad, so slightly better than Darkness Ablaze, just because it's a holiday set. We move on from one of the most popular Pokemon ever to another, and that is Pikachu, because Vivid Voltage is next up. So Vivid Voltage introduced us to the Chonkachu Rainbow VMAX. So I'm still not a big fan of Rainbow cards, but the Rainbow Chonkachu was my chase card for the longest time. Didn't manage to pull it, I had to buy it in the end. So that was how much I wanted it. So Vivid Voltage, I think, deserves a good, after 3 horrible sets in a row. Vivid Voltage kind of redeemed itself. So yeah, because number 1, Rainbow Pikachu VMAX, and number 2, it had quite a few playables then, and yep, cards like the Mini Charizard, the Baby Charizard was quite a strong deck together with Leon, as well as the Jolteon, the Baby Jolteon, which saw some gameplay to lock up the Drizzle engine. And of course the amazing rare cards we all thought that were useless came into play when the Lost Box and Mirage Gate came out, and we will come back to that later. And of course Gourmandise Snorlax, because it is one of the most useful cards in the set, and it's one of the favorites of Xander Watchich, who used it in almost every one of his decks. So, but in terms of playability, it's not super playable, so I'll put Vivid Voltage under good. Next up, we have probably one of my favorite sets in the Sword and Shield series, and that is Shining Fate. So I'm just gonna put it in fantastic, because Baby Shinies, I love Baby Shiny cards, and it gave a reprint to all the most playable baby Pokemon from the base set onwards to up to Vivid Voltage. So that included the Drizzle engine, Oranguru, and of course there is the Charizard VMAX that everyone was chasing, the Dark Charizard VMAX. And yeah, so Shining Fates, I had lots of fun opening and trying to chase the Charizard VMAX, eventually pulling it, and I still remember that was the first chase card that I ever pulled for myself. So that gave me a lot of memories. In terms of playability, other than the Baby Shinies, we have the amazing rare Yveltal, which saw a lot of gameplay in Lugia V-Star decks, which we will come back to later. Reshiram also saw some gameplay, but maybe this is a bit biased, but Shining Fates is up there in fantastic. Next up, we have Battle Styles, and Battle Styles had one big problem, and that was when it first came out, I was like, who is Urshifu? But it introduced us to a brand new playing mechanism in Single Strike and Rapid Strike. So it was really popular in terms of gameplay, and I think this is a player set definitely, and I think I'll put it at good, probably above Vivid Voltage, because playability wise it introduced us to a lot of new cards and a lot of playable cards. And the only thing that I didn't really like about the new mechanism was that this set only produced cards that fit inside either a rapid strike mechanism or a single strike mechanism, and there isn't a lot of cards that you can use outside of it. But we have a few trainers like Level Ball, Cheryl was so good. And other than that, yeah, Level Ball is going to come out a lot, and even in Scarlet and Violet, so that is a good card that Battle Styles gave us. Then Cheryl was good. Bruno might see some gameplay. And other than that, the Rapid Strike and Single Strike mechanism will continue to shine even after Scarlet and Violet is out. And of course, not forgetting my worst nightmare, Stoutland V also came out in Battle Styles. So yep, I'll rank it in good and above Vivid Voltage. Next up, we have Chilling Reign, which faced the same problem as Battle Styles because people are wondering who is Shadow Rider Calyrex, who is Ice Rider Calyrex, right? So same problem, but I will rank it above Battle Styles because there are a lot of cards that you can play outside of Shadow Rider / Ice Rider Calyrex. So I would in fact put it in great, just above Battle Styles, right? Chilling Reign was great because it catered to both the collectors and the players. So you had the Birds, AA, alternate arts, and then you have the Ice Rider and the Calyrex, Ice Rider and the Shadow Rider Calyrex, I mean, so which still see some gameplay even after what's that? After the power creep happened, right? So even post rotation in Scarlet and Violet, you see some people playing Shadow Rider Calyrex, you see some player playing Ice Rider Calyrex, so that is a good sign that the set was good. Okay, so other than the Calyrexes, what other trainers did we have? Let me take a look. We had Blixie V, which saw some gameplay. Echoing Horn definitely was good. Fog Crystal is going to be so good in the Gardevoir EX decks, and of course not forgetting Path to the Peak, probably the best stadium card of the whole Sword and Shield series. And Melanie was good as well. Yeah, so that was for the player side. And for the collectors, we had the Birds alternate arts that I mentioned earlier, and then the Gold Snorlax is also good. Definitely one of the chase card for many people. And yeah, Chilling Reign definitely better than Battle Styles, which is why I'm putting it at great. We then go to possibly everyone's favorite set in the Sword and Shield series, and that is Evolving Skies. So let's just put it in fantastic. What's there not to love about Evolving Skies? You have evolutions, you have Rayquaza, you have playable cards. It has everything, right? So we are going to talk about the evolutions, the AAs for a long time. It is now the most expensive set to buy right now in the whole Sword and Shield series. It gave me my very first deck, and that is Jolteon VMAX. Absolutely loved it. It was the card that made me come back to playing Pokemon cards. It also gave us very playable cards like Duraludon VMAX, Baby Moltres, and of course Ice Cube, which wasn't very impressive when it first came out, but when Lost Box became really popular, Ice Cube was the perfect counter to it. And yeah, so Evolving Skies, in terms of playability, in terms of collectability, deserves the fantastic and definitely the best set of the Sword and Shield era. We then come to Celebrations, which was the set that really boosted my channel, so I'm really thankful that Pokemon came up with this set, number one, and of course number two, and more importantly your support ever since Celebrations came out. So this is going to fantastic, not because of the how my channel blew up because of Celebrations, but of course because of how much significance it had in the TCG. Number one, because 25 years, right? It's a very long time for a TCG to be around and still be going strong. So of course it had its ups and downs, but it's still going strong after 25 years, and that is something worth celebrating. So in terms of the cuts inside, the base set trio reprint of course was huge, and the base set the 25th anniversary Charizard was something that was a card that everyone that opened this set wanted, right? Alongside with Umbreon Gold Star. What else was there? The Shining Magikarp was one for the trolls. I opened lots of Celebrations products and I couldn't even pull one. That was a major troll. And yeah, that was for the collectors, and even for the players there was something as well. And the magic of Celebrations was such that a lot of the cards only saw play after a while. So when it was first released, not many people thought that the cards were playable, because everyone thought that, you know, it's an anniversary set, it's more for the collector, it's more for memories. But after a while, people started to realize actually these cards were quite playable. In fact, Flying Pikachu VMAX won a world championship. So Celebrations was good, Flying Pikachu VMAX was great. And what else was there? The Cry of Destruction Yveltal. So it was very, very good in a control deck. It was first used to control Mew VMAX, of course. And then when Lugia came out, it was used against Lugia extensively. The Gomu was good as well, and Kyogre. The Kyogre saw a lot of gameplay in Lost Boxes. It even had a deck by its own. And yeah, and we are going to see a lot of Zacian Vs around when Gardevoir EX hits, because Gardevoir EX pairs up so well with Zacian V as well as Sky Seal Stone. So a lot of these cards are still playable even when rotation hits. So that's why Celebrations deserves fantastic, and I think I'll just put it above Shining Fates. Next up is a set that people love to hate and hate to love, and that is Fusion Strike. Because when it comes to Fusion Strike, you only think of one card, and that is the Mew VMAX. Okay, be it the normal art, the full art, or the alternate art. The whole set revolves around Mew VMAX and the Fusion Strike system. So your love or hate for it depends on how much you love that mechanism, right? So this whole set was meant for Mew VMAX to work, and I kind of like it, right? So I'll put it above Vivid Voltage, and in between Vivid Voltage and Battle Styles, right? Because other than the Fusion Strike system cards, I don't think, no, there's Battle VIP Pass, right? Okay, Battle VIP Pass makes it above Battle Styles. Yeah, I kind of want to put it at grade. No, I think, yeah, it deserves a grade and above Chilling Reign because of Battle VIP Pass, right? And the longevity of Mew VMAX, right? It had its ups and downs. People are still playing it despite stronger cards, and they even put a Drapion V, designed a Drapion V just to counter Fusion Strike, and that did not stop the popularity of Mew VMAX. So you know what? I'm gonna put it above Sword and Shield base set. A little bit controversial, but I think it deserves a spot there because for Battle Styles and Chilling Reign, you kind of see them take a dive after the next set was released. Even Lugia V-Star, you see it after rotation, it's not going to be very, very powerful. So it had an expiry date, sort of. It either lost to rotation or it lost to the power creep that came in the later sets. But Mew VMAX is still going strong, and for that longevity, I'm going to put it at great. Next up is a set that is similar to Fusion Strike in a sense that the whole mechanism was revolved around one Pokemon, and that is Brilliant Stars and Arceus V-Star. So Arceus V-Star is so good that I would put it... yeah, good, great. I think great. I think it deserves great because Arceus V-Star is such a versatile Pokemon that can be played with so many other decks that it made a lot of Pokemon from earlier sets that were deemed useless a lot more playable. So I think it deserves a spot above Fusion Strike. I might even put it in Fantastic, but I think it's somewhere in between. I might adjust it accordingly. Maybe I think Chilling Reign deserves to be put at good, but maybe we will adjust it later if there's a lot of great sets, right? You don't want too many because I don't want to be like, oh, every set is great, every set is fantastic. No, I might push some down later. But I think Brilliant Stars should be above Fusion Strike because number one, Arceus V-Star is so good. And number two, it made a lot of other cards from other sets work, right? Malama VMAX, people thought that it was useful, but not really useful, but it gave Arceus V-Star gave it life. And then what other decks we have? Arceus Duraludon. Duraludon, we had difficulty charging it, right? Because of it needs 3 energy to attack. By the time it gets charged up, you will have taken some damage or even get knocked out. But because of Arceus V-Star, it solved the problem of how do we charge up Duraludon VMAX. Okay, so in fact, it solved the problem so much that we see it played even now when all the Sword and Shield sets are out. Okay, so for the collectors wise, you have the 3 birds, the gold versions, and yeah, those are playable as well if you want to bling up your deck. And then we have Sharon's Care, Choice Belt, what else was there? Ultra Ball, oh, the return of Ultra Ball, of course, how can I miss that out? So Return of Ultra Ball was very significant when it came to the hoo-ha was the, you know, when the Japan side they announced that Ultra Ball was coming back, people yes, Ultra Ball is coming back. So that alone pushes Brilliant Stars to great. You know, I'll rank it above Fusion Strike because it has so much connectivity with other sets, whereas Fusion Strike was just internal, and I gave Fusion Strike great because of the longevity of it, but Brilliant Stars truly deserves the spot at great. Okay, after several fantastic / great sets, we come down to a set that is not so popular, and that is Astral Radiance. So I think Astral Radiance is, I want to say bad, but because Palkia V-Star, I'll put it as okay. Yeah, so Astral Radiance is not that good, to be honest. But Palkia V-Star together with the Inteleon engine was so good, such a good meta deck that I think it kind of redeemed itself. Otherwise, it would have became one of the worst sets of the Sword and Shield era. So it deserves okay mainly because it gave us Palkia V-Star and Palkia Inteleon deck. You know, some people love it, some people hate it. I personally love it because the Drizzle engine is so good and Palkia was the perfect partner for the Inteleon engine. You know, it took so many sets in between to find the perfect partner. So other than that, Dialga is a mechanism that every set will come out. Every set will have a very good mechanism and one kind of mid-range and trollish, and that was Dialga V-Star's spot, right? Very, very good if it worked because you can take another turn, but if it doesn't, and most of the time it doesn't, you just get frustrated with the deck. So yeah, that is Dialga V-Star. And Astral Radiance had Regis as well, so the Regigigas deck is still very, very good and one of the most troublesome decks that you will face. And if you ask a person what deck are you most afraid of when it comes to competitive play, Regigigas is definitely one of the few that they will mention. In terms of trainers, we have 2 really, really strong supporters, and that is number 1 Irida and number 2 Roxanne. So number 1 Irida was so good in the Palkia Inteleon deck that, you know, it kind of it kind of is the glue that glued together Palkia and Inteleon, because it allows you to search for water Pokemon as well as an item card. So the item card can link you to your Sobble engine, your Drizzle engine, and whatnot. So Irida was so good that when it first came out, it was a few dollars at least, and you don't see that in a rare card, you know. And then Roxanne was the reset stamp of this era, right? Of course, reset stamp is a bit more broken because it's an item card, and only your opponent shuffles his or her hand into the deck. Whereas for Roxanne, you do get to shuffle your hand in the deck and draw 6, and your opponent draws 2, and that can change the game for many decks, right? So yeah, Astral Radiance introduced us to Palkia. But other than that, nothing much, so okay it goes. And then we go on to the next holiday set, and that is Pokemon Go. It's kind of celebratory in terms of the nature of what it's meant to do. It's more for the collectors, but it did give us Radiant Charizard, so slightly below Astral Radiance, I guess. Nothing much to be collected, to be honest, and in terms of playability, other than Radiant Charizard and maybe Pokestop, there isn't a lot to be shouting about. Lunatone Solrock was popular for a while. Yeah, I think I should put it at bad, you know, along with Champion's Path. Yeah, it's bad. I am going to put it out there. I love Lost Origins, okay, because I'm a huge fan of the Lost Box, so it is going to... I want to put it at great, in fact. So, where does it go? Below? Above Celebrations? Yeah, let's put Chilling Reign at good. I love Lost Origins, I have to say. So... because I love playing the Lost Box, right? It's one of my favorite decks to play after Jolteon VMAX. You know, after Jolteon VMAX, I've been trying to find a deck that I really loved, and finally I found one, and that is the Lost Box. Because number one, it's so flexible. You can play with almost every other deck, right? So you can play with a lot of decks, even pull it back to Vivid Voltage with the amazing rare cards. You can play with Gudra, which was out in Lost Origins set as well. You can play with Giratina V-Star. So really flexible, and it's a big test of your skill level as a player, which is why I love the challenge. And you can really tell how good a player is by how he or she plays the Lost Box. So, which is why I'm a big fan of it. And even though, you know, this whole set revolves around the Lost Zone engine, and there's not many cards outside you can play inside the set that you can play outside of the Lost Zone engine. It's my favorite engine in the whole Sword and Shield series. The Drizzle engine comes a very close second, but yeah, so I think because of how playable it was, Lost Origins deserves a spot at Fantastic. We then come to Silver Tempest, which is the last main set of the Sword and Shield series, and of course this is the set that gave us Lugia V-Star. I don't like Lugia V-Star, let's be honest, but I think it deserves a spot in great, because any set that gives you a deck that can dominate so much, I think deserves a spot in one of the top two, either Fantastic or Great, right? But I think it's below Fusion Strike, because Lugia V-Star has an expiry date the moment it got released, and that is because we are going to lose a lot of cards like Powerful Energy, a lot of special energies, to be honest. Powerful Energy, Speed Energy, Hiding Energy, and Powerful Energy is the one that hits the most. So, whereas Mew VMAX has a long lifespan and it's going to go strong even when Scarlet and Violet comes. So because of that, I cannot put it above Fusion Strike. So I think it's great, better than Chilling Reign, but I think it's not better than Fusion Strike definitely. It's a close gap between Silver Tempest and Sword and Shield base set. So Lugia Vista is great definitely, but because it has an expiry date, I don't want to put it so high up, right? So I'm taking a look at what other cards it gave us. I'm not going to go to the trainer gallery because those are reprints, even though they are fantastic artistically. Yeah, other than Lugia Vista, Regidrago Vista belongs in the Dialga Vista realm of like mid-tier decks. And then we have Forest Stone, which is fantastic. But other than that, yeah. Serena was good, but Serena won't be that useful when Scarlet and Violet hits because Serena can only gust out V Pokemon. So it's a set that has an expiry date or until the special energies from the Scarlet and Violet era come out. So for that reason, I think it deserves great definitely, but probably at the lower end of great. We then come to the final set of the Sword and Shield series, and that is Crown Zenith. And I think majority of the Crown Zenith cards are just aesthetically nicer cards of previous cards in the whole Sword and Shield series, and that is what I really love about this set. And I think that is what a lot of people love about this set. People will be like, all these are reprinted cards. Should we really buy this set? But when the set came, it caused such a huge commotion, such a lot of attention for it that it did a lot better than expected, and prices for Crown Zenith products are a lot higher than what you would expect from a holiday set, and that is why I think Crown Zenith deserves great. I think definitely not as good as the other sets, but I think it deserves a spot in great. Definitely not the Chilling Reign Battle Styles era, or rather Chilling Reign and Battle Styles tier, but I think it deserves a great spot, maybe above Silver Tempest. In fact, yeah, I think it deserves a spot above Silver Tempest. So my favorite card in the set, definitely the Ditto. Yeah, I know it's not the most aesthetically pleasing or like the best aesthetically looking of the set, but I really love it because it's such a creative way of depicting Ditto, right? So of course there are the 4 gold cards that everyone is trying to chase, and then what else was there? It had reprints of previously popular cards like Comfy, and yeah, let's see what else was there. Luminion V gets a very wonderful reprint as well. There's also Bibarel, I mean. And what else was there? Let me take a look. Zacian V-Star is going to see a lot of gameplay in Gardevoir decks, and I'm glad they reprinted it because the Celebrations one, I mean, it works the same way definitely, but it's such a much nicer version of the one in Celebrations. So yeah, I think Crown Zenith deserves a spot in great. Alright, so that was my tier list for the Sword and Shield era cards. Let me know in the comments whether you agree or disagree with it. What was your favorite set in the whole Sword and Shield era? What was your least favorite set in the whole Sword and Shield era? Do you agree with me that Evolving Skies is the best one and Darkness Ablaze was the worst one? Let me know. With that, thank you for coming to the end of this video. Sending you lots of love. See you in the next one.